I can go.
That's it. Everybody's mic is gone. It's good. Good to go. Toda la vaina.
Welcome to Evolve and Focus Podcast, the podcast where ideas come alive, perspectives collide, and knowledge is shared. I am your host, Vlad, and I'm happy on this incredible journey of discovery, inspiration, and meaningful conversations. Today on the show, we got two of the key players of the most talked about cannabis dispensary in New York. Together, they're making waves and shaping the future of the cannabis industry. Y'all already know I got my man Vlad, aka Glass, and I got my man aka Ramon, aka EK. So with that, we're gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna ask them where they got their AKAs, aka their street names. So we're gonna start with my man Vlad, aka Glass. So how'd you get Glass? Let's start with that, if you don't mind. Doing it all
Over
again.
there, like I said, I grew up in Sugar Hill, 139th and Broadway. Come from humble beginnings, coupons, welfare. First generation immigrant mother from DR. So we didn't have a lot of resources. So I would wear I was wearing glasses from a young age, from like 5 years old. Would have the Medicaid glasses because that's all we could afford, and you can only get those once a year. Then when they would break, I would have tape on them because you had to wait a year to get the next pair. And then, it started with glasses and then it got shorted to glass. And that's how that name came about.
And how about you, Ramon, aka EK?
Yeah, man. It's a household name. My middle name is Enrique. And my brothers just shortened it to Ike. You know what I mean? It was, more of a Spanish, love nickname situation. But then by the time I came outside, I was in middle school. It basically, I Americanized it and I turned it into EK. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah. So it went from household to street name to to now.
All right, cool. But let me ask you this though. Sugar Hill, isn't that Hamilton Heights? Because
It's not Hamilton Heights now.
Now they gentrified it. Now they gentrified it, called it Hamilton Heights. It was always Sugar Hill.
Too though, you know what I'm saying? I'm from 126. Where'd you go to school? PS 192 or 161?
PS 192, IS 195, IS 136.
And my man EK from the Heights.
Yeah, I'm from the
Heights.
Heights. I'm from the Heights.
From the beginning of the Heights. Right where the Heights start.
In the beginning of the Heights, but I went to middle school in Harlem. I went to IS 136, which no longer exists anymore. But that's where
So that's where you guys met?
No, we actually went during the same time, but he got kicked out. So we didn't get to meet in middle school yet. That wasn't where our destiny, lied in. You know what I'm saying?
We met in G Dubs, George Washington High School.
Dubs, yeah.
Okay. IS 136 is the one over there by 135th over there, right?
Yeah, and
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's home.
There, like St. Nick's.
Some shit like that.
I remember that because my cousin went to that sweet shit. I probably know my cousin and shit.
Probably, man. Probably.
Yeah, small world. But jumping off that real quick, pause. Where did the name Happy Munkey come from? Like,
My man right here came
Yeah,
up with that.
Happy Monkey, I've always been into like monkeys. That's always kind of, I guess, been my spirit animal and shit like that. But at the time, with all our life experiences and stuff like that, 2016, 2017, there were a lot of brands that were out, but they were kind of like, they wanted to be like tough, you know what I'm saying? Like Killer Gorilla or some shit like that. Like everybody wanted to kind of be like a street brand or whatever the case may be. But for me and for us, and because, I thought of all of us, I'm like, we all already are street. We already live in street life. Like Vlad just finished coming home a couple years before that. My brothers, everything. Like that's already embedded in our lives. I was like, this next thing that we want to create doesn't have to represent that. We want to represent actually all the happy shit that we want to do. So I simply called it just Happy Monkey, and things just, one thing led to another,
it just came to you?
It just came to me like that. It's going to be
I got the perfect name.
Happy Monkey.
What we did know, though, and he came up with the words to match it, we just knew that we wanted to be inclusive and we wanted to project like positive energy. Because
Exactly.
we already come from the negative and the gangsterness and so we was just like, we didn't want the name to project like all that negative energy,
Yeah, fucking. I know that you did a little time because you spoken about it.
Yeah.
What was it like transforming like your life from going from that life to possibly doing this? Because I don't think you guys expected, like, you know what I mean, this, you know what I mean. But how did you like transform yourself? Like, say, yo, I'm off the streets. I gotta do better. And how did you guys meet? Pretty much, like, I know how you met, but like, how did you decide to create a partnership? Like, and say, yo, fuck that.
Well, I'll give you like because you started. There's a lot of questions there, but I'm gonna give you where you started. I give you with the first one where you started at. So I came out of prison in 2011, right?
Okay.
My second time in prison, and I already knew that I was already trying to find a different way than, I ran a block for 15, from that block era, ran a block for 15 years, did a lot of that type of stuff, done everything you could do on a local hustle bustle level. And I just knew that I wanted to do something different now. I didn't want to continue and just end the story like most people end that run blocks and stuff like that. So the first thing was when I came home, I had in my mind that I was going to be a real estate agent. And it's crazy how life and society works, right? Because I studied every book you could think about real estate, Donald Trump books, every book, right? And I came home and I even got an intern job at this big real estate company called City Habitats. They gave me a desk and they're like, you can't show properties yet, but you could take pictures and you could help the real estate agents until you get your license. I was like, oh, this is great, man. You know what I mean? Just coming from prison or whatever. And then I passed the city test. And then I passed the state test. I'm like, yes, I'm on. I'm about to be the Dominican Donald Trump, the real estate one, not the presidential one. And then they're like, nah, you denied because of your criminal history. That shit was like such a big
That's like a gut punch.
Gut punch. You know what I mean? So then after that, I ended up being a personal trainer. But then me and EK always had mutual friends. And then we started, because, things changed a lot from when I went to prison to when I came out of prison. The whole landscape changed because, I don't know if you know, Operation Green Venom happened. So that wiped out like every big weed dealer. So that was a big operation that Homeland Security did that took every big weed dealer from 135th to Dykeman in like one big sweep. So I came out after that. The landscape was different. It was all new players. It was everything was completely different. And me and EK, was one of the few left from that era. And my other two partners, J and O, and we were all like trying to figure out what the next steps were. And one of the things was like, my partners had the recording studio. E had gone to Amsterdam. We was all looking for the next thing. Other partners already were thinking about doing different type of events there. And we came like Voltron. We was like, yo, let's call all our friends and let's do a weed event. And that's how the birth of this started.
All right. So what I remember you telling me something like, what did y'all call it? Like a speakeasy or some shit like that?
Yeah. Definitely a speakeasy. It was definitely like, word of mouth in the beginning. It wasn't like flyers out. Like it was just like speakeasy, old school style. You know what I mean? Like the 20s, right? Like the roaring 20s when alcohol was in prohibition. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that.
So y'all created a little spot where everybody could just go and puff and chill and, and hang out and
exactly.
And that shit transformed into what we have today right now, pretty much.
Correct.
It was a lot of different steps, but that was the first step. Then we started doing it once a month, then once a week, then 7 days a week, like 200-300 people a night. Till Forbes called us in 2019 the Studio 54 Cannabis. Because we were just bringing all these worlds together, because it's just like in this divided world, people don't agree on much, class, religion, race, whatever, but cannabis is like one of the few things that everybody agrees on.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It mellows you out, so everybody just chilling, vibing.
Everybody chilling, man.
Just chill. Let me puff my bud. Let me hang out with my peoples. All right, fucking. But when it came to actually starting the the Happy Monkey, the jumping into this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how was it? What was it like? What was the process like? Like, you know what I mean? Because I remember a couple people when they first started talking about getting licenses for the weed, they would say people were talking about that you needed a brick and mortar building in order to get the license. You needed to have a criminal history for them to give it. You needed to be a minority. What is there any truth to any of that when you guys started going to get like the permits, the licenses? Is there any truth to that? Like,
Definitely, there's a lot of truth to that, but just to give you how, because you asked how it was for us. For us, it was different than everybody else because everybody caught wind of things when that information started coming out. Not us. The reason not us is because we were advocates. So remember, we started with the speakeasy. That became a big movement. 7 years ago, we trademarked the brand as a cannabis lifestyle company because cannabis wasn't legal, but we knew we were on to something bigger, a movement. So we started with media, with a podcast. Then we had a newsletter. Then we had merchandise and clothing and all that. So we were already in the loop of people that were legal and running in other states, in California, in Oregon, and Illinois, Massachusetts. We were already in the loop of these people. So when legalization came about in New York, there was different bills being presented. We ended up with the best, most equitable bill in the country, but it didn't start that way. There was another one that was on the bill called the CRTA that would have never had anybody like us on dispensaries. It would have been like, the same old usual players. And we fought and used our influence to advocate. We got petitions. We got 1,000 people to sign petitions. We used our influence online to combat that bill to make sure we got this one. So we were in the know before other people did because we fought for it to be this way.
so you guys pretty much there wasn't a door that you guys weren't prepared to run through. Pretty much, like, you're not letting us in. We're gonna find a way for you to let us in because at the end of the day, we need to be involved. We want to advocate. We want to do it for the culture like you guys have. You know what I mean? So that's a testament to wanting to achieve because like we were talking about earlier, fucking nothing that comes easy is worth it. And you know what I mean? You guys been putting in the pain for years. So you guys were pretty much ahead of the game, ahead of everybody, because I heard about them talking about licenses probably like 4 years ago. And then, but like you said, you guys were probably 3 years ahead of everybody else. So that's dope. When it comes to like picking the product, the strands, like how do you guys go about picking who you're gonna sell it at Monkey?
Well, first, just to kind of like give you context on what's legal and what's not, right? So we're a legal licensed dispensary that can only choose from New York State processors, right? Which is not necessarily a grower. We can't go straight to the farmers and pick whatever the hell we want. We got to go to the middleman, right? That basically lab tests and packages it and does everything that they need to do before it even touches a dispensary, right? So this is why, we tell people when you see that it's a legal licensed dispensary, it's 100% lab tested because those dispensaries, just like liquor stores, we don't touch the liquor. We don't got nothing to do with the thing that's in the bag, right? We just talk to the person who's the middleman. So everything is New York grown, even though, our inventory manager is the person who does that. The product manager is the one who does that. He gets to pick. And just like the streets, bro, you can't go crazy and just pick everything because you're not gonna sell everything, right? If you ain't got, if you don't sell 100 pounds a week, why you grabbing 100 pounds a week, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the same. Like, to me, it's the same process. Don't take every product you see just because they can give it to you. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily something that you can sell, and don't grab it. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the street stuff still applies when it comes to the legal dispensary, But it's just now you got rules and you got regulations that you got to go by, right? I can't take weed from California and sell it here.
Oh,
You
no?
know? No,
All right.
absolutely not.
No, everything has to be grown in New York State.
Yep.
And then there's two approaches that we've seen since we've been in the market. One approach is like quantity. What does quantity mean in the legal market? Quantity means like, let's just take every brand and give the consumers every option, right? We took a quality over quantity perspective, which means like smaller, more curated menu of quality instead of having a million choices of everything on the market. That's our approach. It's been more like quality over quantity of options.
And that's a lot better. That's a lot better way of going about it.
Different things for different people.
Is
So
there-
for us, that was our approach.
Is there any way that you can possibly buy from other states, or
No.
Is there any way, or is
No,
strictly by?
until it becomes federally legal completely.
Okay.
I don't think that'll be an option for a while.
Or they got to pass like interstate commerce or something like that. Because once
Exactly.
you cross from a state, you breaking federal law.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay. I get it. I get it. I totally understand. Yo, how about when it comes to like community involvement? I'm pretty sure you guys are involved in the community.
100%. So before even us obtaining licenses, like you said, we were already advocates and we were already doing events to inform the hood, right? So like he said earlier, we are a unique situation, right? But because we knew that we were a unique situation, by the time we came uptown, we like, oh wow, this is different, right? Because we've attended all the conferences, we went to all the where people were striking out, like we were there, right? But what happened is nobody from our neighborhoods were there, right? So all the information was getting to us, but it wasn't getting uptown. So we were able to have an event called the Choose Happy Symposium, which was on 125th on Columbian Forum, which was crazy. This is the first time a brand like ours, in general, has collabed with a university, to able to inform our community, right? So just the one-on-ones you didn't know that we couldn't buy from California.
Nah,
These are simple shit that people just don't know, but it's not that simple because uptown they don't know, right? We had to be in the classes and the conferences for us to know all these things, right? We've got to keep up with it to know these things, right? That's not just basic information, even though it should just be basic information, right? So we'll start with that, right? I'm sorry, where we was getting to?
He's saying community engagement.
So community engagement, right?
I give you some more, like Ramon said, that was like our first big one, right? Because we just knew that, there was and this from growing up here, it's two worlds. Manhattan is two worlds, south of 125th and north of 125th. So we made our bones and made the brand south of 125th. You know what I mean? And then as we started realizing, like Ramon said, we gathered all this knowledge from the conferences and having access to people all over the world, we noticed that from 125th up, people knew absolutely nothing of what's happening. So then we knew that they were being priced out by these conferences that cost $3, $4, $5, even $1,000 to attend. They always in affluent areas. So like, what could we do? And that was our first step. Where Ramon said that Choose Happy Symposium in Colombia. And we had politicians like Adriano Espaillat had opening statements. We had the Manhattan president, Mark Levine. Yeah. We had the local councilman, Sean Abreu. We flew in a doctor that specializes on the endocannabinoid system, Dr. Rachel Knox. And you know what I mean? Like, it just showed people, and this was free for the community. And we had translation services for people that don't speak English. Then after that, we continued to attend like community board 12 had a task force. We always attended that. We always kept in the loop to everything that was going on up here. And even after we opened, I've done 2 presentations at the Dykeman Houses Community Senior Center to educate seniors on the medicinal benefits of cannabis. So the reason I'm saying all this is because like we don't have to do that. We could just be like, yo, we just need marketing. We just need to make money. But that's always been our part of our ethos is like community engagement, community education from the beginning until now. And that's why even I walked you through the other day. I don't know if you remember the
Yeah, yeah.
Explore station.
Yeah, yeah.
We're the only ones that has that out of 300 dispensaries in New York State because we care about educating people. You know what I mean? Not just making money.
And that's why I believe y'all gonna be here for a long time to come.
I mean, we're one of the only businesses here that has a community board certificate from them, right? So, like when he said, they created, so a community board has a bunch of branches, right? The community board has a branch for liquor license, for the health department, for education, different branches, right? When they created the branch for the cannabis task force, I was already there. So I've been there since the beginning. So for us to get a certificate from the community board, letting the rest of the neighborhood know that we're a good neighbor, right? Like that tells you how much community engagement we have, you know?
Yeah, because the cannabis weed, it has like a bad stigma to it.
Correct, especially uptown.
You know, exactly. You know what I mean? Because we come from a world where, you know
Yeah,
what I
the
mean?
street world, the
It's
street,
the
yeah.
street world. So you want to be involved with the community. Let them know, like, listen, we're here to help. We're here to be involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that way they feel comfortable with
Correct.
you being in the neighborhood and being around. And that's good. You know what I mean? Because that's what you want. You don't want people to look at the business and be like, throw that, you know, fuck
No.
delinquents going in there. You know what I mean? It has
Yeah.
like a bad stigma. So that's good. Let me ask you this though. I heard that when it comes to this type of business, you can't really put like it has to be like darker colors. You can't have like bright colors because it, you know what I mean, it attracts like whatever. You know what I mean? Like kids. So they say you have to have like darker
The
colors.
way it works is that you
Is
know,
that true?
people can't see products and transactions from the outside. They prefer not to be like cartoon characters that are, or anything that could be attracted to children. You know what I mean? That's like, you know, what kind of like the regulations say.
Yeah, so that is kind of true. That,
Yeah, the regulations, you can't use neon. You
yeah,
can't
yeah,
use
that's what I mean. Like
those
the
type of
neons,
colors
the
and-
brighter
yeah.
colors, because they don't want, you know what I mean, attracting kids and stuff. All right. Like let's say if somebody wanted to start one of these, like what are some steps that you can offer offhand for somebody that maybe want to, not necessarily a happy monkey, but like a business in general? Like what are some steps that people need to take? Because you know a lot of people want to start businesses, but they just don't know how. They don't know what steps to take, and they're not, you know what I mean, they don't have the balls. Everybody talks the talk, but not many people walk the walk to actually go out and try to achieve. So like what are some steps that somebody, specifically for this, what are some steps that somebody can take to, when it comes to licensing? Like what's the first step to open one of these, if you don't mind sharing that?
Well, like you said earlier, for us it was a unique situation,
Yeah,
and
but
for
not
the
for
state.
you guys, but like being that you know the ins and outs of this shit, like somebody like a regular person wanted to say, yo, I want to start, I want to attempt to start a cannabis dispensary.
Well,
You gotta
you
go
know,
get a license first.
Well, first you just gotta. I just want to give you context. This is why I started with that, right? First, you gotta remember that cannabis licensing, is a very infant stage. It just started 3 years ago. This is not something that's open to the public. It's not something that is easily obtained, right? We were able to do it because there was a program, and in that program, you had to have the experience of 2 years running a business. You had to have that you were arrested for, for cannabis. So you had to have certain requirements, right? You had to be a New York resident. Like you had to have certain requirements already, right?
the criteria.
That was the criteria in that program, right? So like I said, since cannabis is still so brand new,
But that program is gone now.
that program now is gone.
It's no more than
Yeah.
No, it was for a certain amount of licenses, and then that's it.
That's it, right?
Oh.
So in general, licensing hasn't started yet, right? So there's a lot of things that just hasn't started yet, right? But like any other business in this world, if you don't have the money, you got to look for an investor. You got to have a plan. You know what I'm saying? You got to have, like, what business do you want, right? And behind that, if you're not necessarily, like, for example, if you want to open up a barbershop and you're not necessarily a barber, it becomes a little bit difficult, right? Like, it's kind of hard to chase a barber's dream if you're not necessarily a barber. You know what I'm saying? So for us, of course, naturally, we want to sell weed because we was already selling weed. This is something we know how to do. I know how to run a fucking
A block.
like you know how to
Both of
pitch.
ya.
You know what I'm
Both
saying?
of
Like,
ya.
you know how to pitch and
Yeah.
manage. Like something that we already knew how to do. So it's something that we naturally wanted to chase down, right? So I'm just saying, like, for anybody who wants to start their own business, which is basically an entrepreneur, you gotta love what you're chasing because you're gonna go through obstacles. It doesn't matter what it is, you're gonna go through obstacles no matter what, right? So I just think really can give you some like business expertise, but what I can do is just like chase what you really love. Because if not, you're just gonna waste your time if you're just chasing something for the business, right? Like people who chase this for the business end up failing.
Yeah, because they see, oh, it's weed. I'm gonna make
Money,
tons of
money.
money. But they don't see the work that you have to put in to actually start this, to fucking achieve this. So, you know,
You gotta remember, give you more context to that. The patience you have to have, because this goes for any business. You usually don't see profit for years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the way business works. Then on top of that, you're in the most highly regulated business in the world, basically cannabis. So you gotta pay extra taxes. You gotta be extra compliant, and so like Ramon said, if you just in it for the money, there's a lot of other things you could do just for money. You, I always tell people, if you're not passionate about it, you're gonna get turned off because of all the obstacles, like Ramon said. You know what I mean? It's other easier things you could do.
got that. Where do y'all see Happy Monkey 5 years from now? What do you plan? Because I know you guys started this one. I know you guys have one in Brooklyn as well. 453 Fulton Street
Yep.
in downtown Brooklyn. Y'all might want to check that out. Where do you see Happy Monkey 5 years from now? Like 10 years from now? I believe it's gonna be around a long time, but
I see Happy Monkey like I don't know if you know what the Tao Group is. I see Happy Monkey. A Tao Group is a hospitality group that started here in New York as a restaurant nightclub group that ended up being all over the world for for hospitality. And I feel like we have the opportunity to be the cannabis version of that, because we're cannabis lifestyle company. We're also about hospitality, and we got many different branches. When you think about it, the company's been around for 7 years. The last thing that we just added was actually selling weed. We already had media, merchandise, clothing, events, etc. So I just feel like that there's a lot more that we're gonna be able to bring to the market because we're such a multi omni company. You know what I mean? Than just being a retail dispensary.
especially with technology and innovation, like, you know what I mean?
Shit is
There's more-
changing all the time.
everything is changing. Everything is evolving. So yeah, yo, you know what I mean? I know EK a long time, and and I knew I've always known the grind, and I know your area because I'm from that part of New York as well. So we come from a hustle grind, and there's nothing that's gonna stop us from wanting to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. And I'm really happy that y'all allow me to interview y'all. You know what I mean? And so yeah.
Nah, this is what it's about, man. This is why we came to Dykeman. It's like we wanna, we all aspire to inspire. We here to be a beacon of hope, to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, to really, what I mean, be what we didn't have growing up. We didn't see somebody go from legacy to legal, come back to the community and do something positive. So we're trying to be that voice and that example of, like, you could go from a corner boy to a corner office. You could go from selling peas to fucking selling legal apes. You know what I mean? Because without examples, I understand that our community can't see anything different. You know what I mean? If they don't see somebody that they could relate to that looks like them doing these things, you don't think it's possible, because I didn't think it was possible until, you know.
You're a good talker. Both of y'all.
True though, it's facts though. What I'm saying.
No. I'm saying though, like you're very articulate when you talk. Well, have you always been that way, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or you had to practice more since you got into the game?
He's always been a talker.
I've always been a good talker, but you know, now I took it from a different level because, you know, EK and my other two partners, you know, pushed me because somebody, you know, like remember what EK said before this, we were already in the loop of big conferences and stuff like that. And then it came to the point where somebody had to represent on the brand on big stages, and that became me. So I started my first public speaking gig like 2019, 2020. Source Magazine had an event
in Brooklyn, in the courthouse.
In the courthouse, by where we have the dispensary.
Did you take classes to
No.
like
No.
speech
He already got balls
Nah,
already.
he already
man.
had it.
And so then from there, that broke the ice. And then after that, I've spoken in every cannabis conference in America, UK, Spain, Mexico. So
you've been traveling.
And
Yeah.
but on top of that, right, in between, I got over 100 and something episodes with this man right here speaking on a podcast.
Yeah.
I was already a good talker, but that was the practice in between.
Yeah.
So what's the name of your podcast? Let everybody know. So.
Happy Munkey Podcast. Happy Munkey with a U, baby. HappyMunkey.com. Go there. You can find all the things that's happening with us all the time.
And the podcast is like once a week. Like how do you do your episodes? Is when you feeling it, let's go
They
to the
come out
studio.
like
and
once every
go
2 weeks.
Yeah, it come out once every 2 weeks. We record as much as we can, and then we just let them go as time goes by. And I think the podcast for me and for us is it's a reflection of what we've done and what we've been through as far as like the speakeasies and the parties and what we've led up to today. Because the podcast, if you run through the podcast, you see all sorts of guests, right? You'll see a doctor to Cannabis Chamber of Commerce to the street legends, to everybody, right?
Actors,
athletes, everything, So that's basically a reflection of all the people we've,
that you've met and come across.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because
it's a representation of what cannabis is, right? Because I think we still, teaching people what someone who smokes weed looks like, right? Because up until these last 10 years, the Google image has been, the stoner hippie, the Cheech and Chongs, the surfer dudes, the flowery girl with the girl with the flowers in her hair. But New York, that's not what New York looks like. New York, we look like, suit and ties. We look like hoodies. We look like t-shirts. Timberlands. It's diverse. You don't know, right? It's every color in the book that you can think of, right? It's every sexual gender that you can think of. That's what New York is. So, with our podcast, we're able to kind of just like showcase that.
All right. So what was it? Happy Munkey with the U?
Yes, sir.
Happy Munkey with a U.
Happy Munkey with the U. You already know. So I'm gonna leave it right there. You know what I mean? Cut it a little bit short, but it was very interesting to learn from y'all. I seen the journey, and I know the journey's gonna continue. This shit is just gonna get bigger and better.
The Vlad's always doing big things, baby.
Vlad. It's another Dominican Vlad, guys. We got two Vlads. That's fucking, I don't know, almost impossible, right?
So to everybody out there, remember, you're too blessed to be stressed. Things will get greater later. Always choose happy. Stay in tune with my man Vlad, and he'll tell you how things are evolving.
There you go.
So if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, comment, and check out Happy Munkey with the U.
Absolutely. Engage.
If you want the goodies, you come to 151 Dyckman Street in the Inwood section of Manhattan. And they also have 453 Fulton Ave on Fulton Street in downtown Brooklyn. So check it out. Evolving Focus Podcast, and we out. Till next time. Peace. All right.
There you go.
Baby. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Totally.